welcome to my race 1 video from Castle Combe. It was the Monday Madness Bank Holiday Monday event, so first race of Sports 1000 featuring Cup 200. Qualified quite poorly in 4th, so let's see what we can do, see if we can get a good start. Creeping. So, bit of wheel spin, but not too bad. So Clint was second and Noah was first, but he had a technical issue, so he dropped through the field. As you can see, Al's got a really good start there in the MK car. They seem to launch very well, probably a bit more weight transfer, and obviously more torque than our cars with the booster engine in them, but he's going to fall back down pretty soon. So yeah, I had really quite a poor qualifying. It absolutely belted it down in the paddock where we were, and unbeknownst to me and everyone else, to be fair, it only rained on the half of the track where we were. The rest of it was dry, so I went for a very kind of what I would consider like a full wet setup, really soft, and it was way too soft. I think I cooked my tyres in 3 or 4 laps really. So the car felt quite good at first in qualifying, but then rapidly went off. And it's a bit of a story of the weekend really. I never got the car, the day, never really got the car set up properly. Don't know the track. I did a day on Thursday, or half a day I should say on Thursday, testing, and yeah, didn't fully get on top of it. Wasn't happy with my pace, so it's all about just trying to kind of outrace people really. As you can see, I've already got into the lead, and it's a difficult track to overtake on, as I gathered from testing when I was following people. So being the fastest isn't always the be all and end all. Just got to have some racecraft and what have you. But anyway, so on to the race. Obviously I'm in the lead now and Clint's following me. Clint was definitely faster than me. And yeah, there's areas where I noticed in my mirrors I was able to kind of not really pull a gap, but kind of get myself a little bit further away, because and that was kind of good because I knew that he would eat that back up in certain places. So to a degree it was going to be a full race long of just trying to control things as much as possible, but it's difficult to control it. You fundamentally haven't got the pace. So as you see here, like I can kind of get a healthy gap in certain areas, and then he's gobbling me up on the brakes. I was really struggling into there. The car just felt really unstable. It's quite a bumpy track, and the videos that I watched kind of before I went testing on Thursday weren't really of any use. It looks like a very simple track to learn. In terms of the layout, it's not challenging at all, but the challenging part is that there's strange dips and bumps and undulations in all the worst places, for me at least anyway. Even the chicanes, you can't really kind of set the car up and fire it through because it kind of drops off through the chicane. So on the Thursday I was finding myself really unstable, back end all over the place on the way out. Yeah, I think that's not been Charlie. He had a technical issue. I will say I've got this rear camera on, the front one hasn't recorded the first race and all. But yeah, I've got this rear one on anyway, which to be honest is where the action is anyway. Not put race 2 up separately, but I've got front and rear on that, so I'll try and figure out what to do on that, but I didn't want to. It takes quite a long time to edit 2 at the same time and then talk over it, and I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not a very good video editor, so yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. Obviously with the front camera I can talk about my inputs, but I can't see any of that, so all I can really say is at this point, I've got Clint hot on my tail. He's definitely faster than me, but there's kind of areas where I can maintain maintain a gap. The other thing is with these cars is track position is quite important. If you're following someone, you can get quite a lot of, I mean, talk about it in F1 and everything, and obviously this is a much lower level and a lot lower aero, but if you're following someone, it can be quite difficult to commit the same way as you would if you were in free air. And likewise, it's difficult to do a fast lap time when you've got someone right up your arse because you've got to go defensive. So we're kind of glued together now, and it's not going to get any better for me at this point because I'm not fast enough to pull away from him. So he's really much better on the brakes there than me. Been able to carry much more speed in. Again, wasn't really confident in these chicanes. You can hear on the throttle I'm not really driving the car hard through. So yeah, just trying to make the best of a bad situation. To be honest, like after the Thursday test and then going all the way on, it was like 4 hours each way for me this. I was absolutely knackered, and I was just thinking this is going to be kind of a damage limitation weekend probably, because I just didn't have the pace at all. So quite happy to find myself in this position really. And obviously Noah was really quick. He put it on pole, so he didn't actually start the race. I think he conked out on the start line, so he's dropped back through. So this could have easily been a 4th place really on pace, but being fast doesn't mean that you're automatically entitled to win. And I've been the fastest many times and got nothing out of it, so that's just how the cookie crumbles. So yeah, it's just more of the same really at this point. There's quite a lot of like green paint and stuff inside the curbs and what have you, and it gets to the point where everyone just starts using it. They're not going to police the track limits, and people are using them, then everyone's got to use them, otherwise you're just giving up loads of time. I don't think, to be honest, even watching Clint, I don't think either of us were like really abusing it. I've seen people in the past like go just completely straight line the corners, but like say in the corners, the chicanes, but like even in the chicanes you can't really do that because they're not flat. It's not like some chicanes you get at other tracks like the S's or the first chicane across where you can really just kind of fire it through. I certainly couldn't in my car anyway, it just felt really unsettled and wasn't inspiring a lot of confidence. Also my camera, this rear camera, it did create 2 videos, so I've had to stitch them together, so see if you're eagle wide enough to spot where I was stitching them together. One thing I would say is, especially not just for any sort of club level racing, the turnout was fantastic. I don't think I've really been to a club. I've not been part of a club event where there's been so many spectators all the way around the circuit. A load of genuine interest around the paddock as well. People taking pictures and wanting to look at and talk to you about the cars and all that sort of stuff. So it's obviously like a real keen community in and around Castle Combe. I can't say I love the track, to be honest, but as an event it was really well ran and really well attended. But yeah, I think for the most part me not enjoying it was just because I wasn't quick. Obviously we're always happy when we're fast. 10 minutes into a 15-minute race, and so it's ebbing and flowing a little bit. Like that looks like a fairly comfortable gap, but then it's gone again. Obviously you've got the concertina effect like you always do, drags out a bit, but you can see even though he's kind of naturally dragged back out, he's eaten up half of that gap just on the brakes. So not really much chance for me if I make a mistake. So yeah, this is, I don't know what this is, maybe 8 or 9, something like that. And yeah, obviously unable to shake him. Fair play to him. He's much quicker than me. I'm clearly, not intentionally, but just I'm holding him up because I'm not as fast as him. But it is difficult to pass. So if you run sensible lines, it's going to be difficult to make an overtake even if you are quicker. And say you lose time just trying to follow people through past corners in these cars. This is where my camera cut out. Back online. So it's all about to go wrong shortly. But yeah, I don't need to say much. Watch it, make your own mind up. Yeah, like I say, it's frustrating following someone when you know that you're faster than them, but it is what it is. You've got to, it's why it's called racing. You've got to find a way past. Unfortunately, this kind of ruins the race for both of us, to be honest. So, yeah.
Oh, he could be in a bit of trouble.
What he's thinking, I have no clue.
And we know what that normally leads to. Evan Nielsen, he's got a 3-1 on goal, hasn't he? And he's a long way from goal, but is it a clear goal-scoring opportunity?
The yellow card is changed, and for the third time this season.
Yeah, wasn't just a tap, it was well under there. So obviously what that does is it just fucking lifts the back end of the car off the ground. Well, I don't know if it came off the ground, but obviously it lifts it to a point where you lose so much grip in a short space of time, and I was already kind of trail braking and turning in, and it just pops you straight round. I did dip the clutch, but it still cut out. At least I think I did. So yeah, I had to restart it and go. What you can't see in that rear camera view is that when that happened, that includes who was in third. Maybe a couple of seconds back, went past the both of us. So yeah, effectively Dan inherited Clint won on the road, got a penalty. Dan inherited the win effectively. Clint got a penalty, so I ended up second. So yeah, it's unfortunate that the decision was basically made in the clerk's office. It's not very enjoyable when you finish a race and then you have to wait to find out what the result of the race was. just eats away at kind of social time and all that sort of stuff as well, taking your camera to the parks and talking about what just happened when you don't really want to talk or think about it, because it's not, it's not how I wanted that race to go, or how it should have gone, but it is what it is. Can't change it. And yeah, when things like this happen and people get penalties, ultimately it doesn't really change the fact that it's kind of it screwed my race up. Yeah, I got a second, Clint got a third, but it should have been a win. We all come to race to win. Obviously, there's the points situation to consider. Dan, who inherited that win, is currently my closest rival. And with that free, Clint went on to do the fastest lap of the race, which put him on P1 for the second race, which, again, not ideal, but I'll cover race 2, which thankfully went a bit better in a separate video. But yeah, that's it for me. Just 20 more seconds of lonely driving around to take the flag. Cheers.